It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington Show.
Welcome one and all, it's time for another red hot, sizzling, spicy, tender, succulent, moist, dishlicious edition of the Andy and Show, episode 180. And you may think it's been a slow news, but we're ready to squeeze all the news juice out, drip it to the waiting mouths of our audience. And for anyone playing the Remington's Blinds up or down game at home, we're about to find out. Correct. And you can see quite clearly that the blinds are down. Welcome everybody, welcome Remington.
Hello Andy, your beard's coming on nice there. Hello Graham, great to see you. Hello Donald, thanks for joining us. And anyone else who's joining now, let's say hello in the chat. Welcome back.
Yes, the chat's going to start flying in a minute. Just know it. So, to the unsuspecting eye, it could look like not much is going on in the world of Age of Sigmar this week, but they would be wrong, wouldn't they? Because, first of all, before we even look at this new stuff that's been revealed, we finally got that long-awaited, long-promised battle report of Warhammer Plus. Did you watch it yet?
Do you know what? I've been swamped, Andy, since last week I saw you. I've had a big concert I played in. Lots of rehearsals, work's been crazy busy, so I've not. But just before the show, I watched the first 10 minutes of it, just enough to see, them introduce the Ogre Moor Tribe's army, and it looked quite tasty, man. I'm looking forward to seeing them absolutely mow down those terrible Stormcast.
Yes, and we won't spoil it too much for you then if you've not watched the whole thing yet. We can talk further on that next week perhaps. But there are some Stormcast units in there that you may notice aren't technically available yet. Now, these dragons that they showed us.
Right.
So, they've been out there, visible to the world, since July, if I recall. And now we hear that these dragons and the new Mega Dragon are not going to be available until December.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, Andy. It doesn't surprise me. I've been saying for a couple of weeks now that there's big supply chain crises. There's a supply chain. I'm not going to say crisis. I'm going to say backlog. There's a supply chain backlog across a whole host of industries, and Games Workshop were no exceptions. So, basically, them getting. Having said that, though, isn't all the stuff built in Nottingham?
I believe so. So you would think it's just the raw materials they need to actually create the products.
It's not from China.
As far as I'm aware, GW don't have anything created, China model-wise anyway.
Yeah. Well,
currently.
even so, they might still have supply chain problems with sending stuff out, worldwide and meeting a release date simultaneously. So, this goes through a lot of goods and stuff, and you can blame the pandemic for that. So, yeah, that's what's happening. And when I say supply chain crisis, I'm also saying freight fees are going up quite a lot. So it's costing companies more to send stuff out and get things shipped over to places. So there's these huge containers waiting to be unloaded. And so I'm predicting that we could see a price hike, which is going to devastate a lot of fans, but it's not Games Workshop's fault. I think things will settle down. But the problem with price hikes is they don't tend to go down. They usually stay up, and the thing. People call it inflation or whatnot. But yeah, usually the price of these things is usually carried ultimately by the customers. So there you go. I mean, yeah, there's been some terrible Games Workshop bashing recently. I mentioned it before, Andy, and I've seen it again. This Arch Warhammer guy, he's
Oh
really
no.
like going in hard, man. It's like I can't even watch a
Well, I
whole
should hope
episode.
not.
It's horrible, man. I
Not the
mean, he
kind of
doesn't.
content we want to watch.
I don't think he even knows what he's talking about. He's literally blaming the dip in Games Workshop share price to the fact that he thinks Warhammer Plus is a failure. And well, I think when we look at the charts, I think we'll see that he's talking out his ass. But there you go. That's my rant.
Anyway, people who make suggestion that the GW share price is in any way affected by anything other than your prediction segment is clearly
Absolutely.
insane.
Absolutely.
So, shall we
So,
look at some of this new stuff then? Now that we
yeah,
know what we're
tell me, man.
not getting yet. So,
Give me some background, Andy.
well, let's have a look what it says here, shall we? Meet the Broodmaster. You wouldn't want to meet him on a dark night on your own. They've spotted a few clues to the Broodmaster's identity in the video, which we're not watching. But who is the Eightfold Watcher, and what are they watching? Our mandibles are sealed for now, but let's take a closer look at this creepy new fighter. So, this is for Warcry.
Right.
And
So this is basically a chaos faction.
I would
Because
assume,
yeah, because all the new Warcry stuff is all set in the is it 8 points? Is in the sort of the chaos realm, right? And although you can get Warcry factions from order and destruction, I think all the ones they've specifically brought out for Warcry have all been sort of chaos. Unless I'm mistaken, but it seems to be that way. So, when I heard about a spider kind of cult, I thought that we might see some new goblinoid spider riders. Did you?
well, that would have been nice, wouldn't it? Because spiders have long been associated with goblins, Warhammer. That not only were they riding on them, but in more recent years they've kind of turned into goblin spider hybrids, haven't they?
Yeah, and in the Silver Tower we had the scuttlings, didn't we?
Yes.
So yeah, it's reasonable to assume that that's what we'd get. But then now we get this guy, and it says just in the blurb above, Andy, that you read, before we reveal his identity, as if we've heard of this guy before. I can't say I have. Do you know his identity? Who's the man behind the mask?
We count 6 limbs here, 4 of them holding a rather gnarly sword, which means he's probably quite dexterous or constantly nicking himself in battle. Either way, you know he gives the best hugs. So 6 limbs, a spider-based creature. Odd choice, indeed.
He's using the severed head of a spider as a mask.
Apparently. And
It looks like there's a face in his chest as well. Can you see that?
I'm not sure if it's a face exactly, but again, wouldn't be too surprised though.
It's kind of gross, isn't it? It's kind of cool but gross. I don't know if I'm tempted. Looking at the
Spiders
back,
swarming all over it.
yeah, it looks
Very
like
veiny.
the back of his cape. The sort of headdress kind of thing. It reminds me of Aliens. The face hugger.
Yes, it does actually. I think it's the way they've painted it as well.
Yeah, creepy, man. Wonder. So this guy's the boss. I wonder what the others are going to be like.
Well, that's all we know about this so far. That is the Broodmaster, though. So speculate wildly, members of the audience. Feel free, start speculating on what this means.
Andy, do you think it's a new box set with with 2 factions in there?
When did we get the last one for Warcry?
Wasn't it the one with the fire cult?
Has there only been one Warcry box so far?
There've been 2.
2.
Yeah, so the first one was the sort of the armored crazy guys, and the other faction was the beastie guys, and then we had some separate factions come out, and then the last box set, unless I'm mistaken, was the sort of the catacombs, was it? Warcry catacombs. and that was the K-Knight Assassins, and I can't remember the Fire Cult's name, but yeah, I ended up getting the Assassins separate. So I used them for my Daughters of Cain, didn't I?
Well, maybe it is then. It's a new with spider people in it. Anyway, so obviously Dragons not till December, but word on the street is that we could be getting some Stormcast pre-orders next week, possibly, including this fella, Bastian Carthalos. So we've seen him before, but I think we're seeing him in more intimate detail now, and quite a hefty lad, shall we say?
Yeah. Do you know, I do like. I know I tease you about Stormcast and whatnot, right? But I do like when you can see Stormcast face. You know, just give a little more character to it all.
Yeah, I do like having the exposed faces where appropriate, and I think this is one model where I would definitely exposed face. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Didn't
think
beard there.
I think where it gets weird, Andy, is when you get Stormcast that have got missile weapons like, you know, crossbows or huge bows, and they've got full plate armor and they've got helmets on. It just seems like, you know, if you were an archer, the last thing you'd want is a big helmet over your head, stop you from having the best view.
That is
You know,
arguable, yes.
so that yeah, there you go. I mean, look, you can model the things how you want, can't you? Right?
He is a big fella as well. He's slightly bigger than your average Stormcast, and of course standing on this nice base as well makes him a little bit chunkier than the average. I mean, he's standing next to the Annihilators here, the new Annihilators with brand hammers, which are also going to be up for pre-order, along with some of the other new units.
So, Andy, what's the difference between the old Annihilators and these guys?
These ones don't have shields, but they have bigger hammers, so they're more killy, but slightly worse armor.
The Annihilators with the shields, they get, is it 2-up saving throws?
Yes, these ones have only got 3+ saves. They're massive.
But they're going to probably do more damage, right? It's going to be like 3 damage.
Billion damage. But I was actually reading a little bit about Bastian on here, and they've got a bit of a backstory for him. So, he personally fought off Archaean's forces battle before he became a Stormcast. That's how he got blessed.
Well, let's reword that.
Them.
Let's just reword that. He was defeated by Archaean's forces and saved from death and recast as Stormcast.
Well, if he'd just murdered Archaean, he wouldn't need to become a Stormcast, would he?
No. But why would you want to resurrect people that have failed?
Because they're just puny mortals. And you pluck the finest of the mortals. Sometimes the greatest warriors get killed in battle.
Fair enough, yeah.
So, I mean, when, let's say, Gotrek, for example, when he eventually gets killed by something, you wouldn't think any less of him, would you?
I don't think he can be killed anymore. Well, we'll find out, because I'm going to field him someday soon, Andy. I'm just going to clean up all your models with him.
Well, do you want to...
Like that.
Just to give you a little taste of what this guy brings to the table, because I'm thinking of picking one of these up. He is a very cool model. I never have too many Stormcast heroes, as GW know full well, which is why they release about 10 ones every year. So, once per turn, this unit can issue a command to a Hammers of Sigmar unit anywhere on the battlefield without a command point being spent. So that's nice, but not the bit that'll make you go, what? How is that fair?
Once per turn.
So, how about this? His hammer, 2-inch range, 4 attacks, 3+, so you might as well call it 2+, because you're going to give him one of the command abilities or the heroic ability to put him on 2+ to hit.
Oh my god.
2+ to wound, -2 rend, 4 damage.
Wow. That's ridiculous, man.
That is spicy.
And then, you know, what the other command points? You could get him to run and charge? Is that a command?
You can probably do a lot of things.
Wow. All-out defense, all-out attack. Right?
He is spicy. You wouldn't be able to use all those things on him at once, but you could definitely stack some things up on him. So it's a very big, nasty hammer. And how about this? So, At the end of a phase, if any models were slain by wounds caused by this unit's attacks in that phase, you can heal all wounds allocated to this unit.
That's
So every time he kills a rot, every time he kills a snotling, he gets all his wounds back.
That sucks so bad. I mean, how many wounds does he have?
Well, I assume he's in the War Scrolls that I've got right here. So I'll just go through all 78 War Scrolls and see if I've got him here.
I imagine it'll be 5, right, or 6.
Well, let's have a look.
Hello, Brad. Hello, Raphael.
I wonder if he's in one of the little booklets in War Scroll form. Let's see.
That's ridiculous. So basically, you've got to kill him in one round.
Well, it would be ideal if you killed him in one round, yes. You're leaving a bit to chance otherwise.
Or you just don't engage him in combat. You kill him with missile attacks or magic, or you put him up against the monster, right? Because then, unless he kills the monster, he's not going to get healed up.
Well, you want to put him into things that aren't going to just kill him in one go, basically. If you can keep him fighting things that aren't going to immediately murder him.
I mean,
here we go. Here he is.
The greatest champion they have.
Got his War Scroll here. So he's got 3+ save, 8 wounds. So 8 wounds, you have to take off all of them in one go, really, because you're not going to stop him doing wounds, really, are you? With that attack profile.
That's dumb.
Let's have a look at what else he's got here.
He's a human. 8 wounds.
So, once per turn, in your hero phase, so note this. Hold on, let's have a look at this. Let's make sure. Got this right here. Okay, at the end of a phase, so he has this ability in the hero phase. So pick one enemy unit on the battlefield and roll the number of dice equal to the wounds characteristic of that unit. Reach 6, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound.
Why?
Because he calls forth lightning from the heavens. And, so obviously every time he does that in the hero phase, that would qualify as something to get all his wounds.
That's just dumb. First off, the guy's covered in metal. So isn't that a conductor of lightning? So wouldn't the lightning strike the Stormcast first?
Well, surely Sigmar himself would have thought of this. In the first few field tests, he probably got a few barbecued Stormcast and then changed the armor recipe. So I would imagine nothing to worry about there. So
I mean, ridiculous.
I was thinking, because he seems pretty unkillable, as long as he's fighting stuff, then you wouldn't.
600 points.
You wouldn't.
600 points. Then.
You wouldn't think he's got a ward save, would you?
Does he even need? He doesn't need one. He's going to get healed up. Right?
4+ ward save.
3+ save, 4+ ward save. Ridiculous.
At the start of the first battle round, after determining who has the first turn, but before first turn begins, you can pick up the D3 friendly hammers of Sigmar units on the battlefield and set them up again.
What?
So a nice little bonus. You can just set up some of your units again.
So one of the slowest units in your army can just be
somewhere else.
Yeah, just because this guy says.
So you'll be pleased to know he doesn't have his own booklet, though. He's only got the one side of War Scroll card, because he doesn't have that many ridiculous rules.
I mean, I'd love to know how much he costs, Andy.
Well, I can tell you that as well if you want.
But basically, we've got another unkillable hero in the Stormcast rank, right?
Yes, you could look at it that way. You want me to have a look how many points he is now in the Stormcast Eternals?
You couldn't just scroll up the picture, could you? Because I've been looking at the bottom of his shield for ages, and it's just making.
But it's a nice shield. It's not even a shield. It's his shoulder pad. Okay, let's have a look at. There we go. Look at him from there, so you can see his glorious mighty hammer, and I'll tell you how many points he is now. So, where are you, Bastian Arthalos?
Buscavar, the Thunder. Oh, so this is not the Afro-Caribbean one. The white beard. Is this a different hero?
No, that's the name of his hammer.
Oh, wow. Even the hammer's
got... so his hammer's got a name. There he is, look. So, I'm just looking for him here.
He's going to have his own novel, isn't he, soon?
Oh, there we go. Lord Commander Bastian Carthalos. How many points would you say is warranted for that?
I would say 600, but I think it's going to be more like 380. And
300.
his what?
300.
300 points.
So he's 20 points cheaper than Yndrasta.
Is he cheaper than Gotrek? I think he is.
Well, Gotrek is immensely powerful, though.
Well,
it's not a fair comparison.
I don't know. I think this guy's a good matchup for him. This is ridiculous. It's just to bring another character out of nowhere and make them unkillable.
So every time he kills anything, all his wounds. With the 4+ ward, it's effectively like having 16 wounds, isn't it? On average.
Well, you know, he's cheaper than 16 Stormcast, isn't he? Well, 8 Storm. How much would 8 basic Stormcast warriors cost you? Because they've got 2 wounds each, right?
It would be more than 10 Liberators. But you wouldn't get too many Annihilators for one. They're pretty pricey.
So, yeah. Who would you rather have, this guy or Yndrasta and a 2-up killing spear?
Well, you know what I say? Why not both? Well,
yeah, Brad's saying 4 attacks versus Gotrek. I don't see him being an equal to Gotrek, but have you seen how many wounds his axe causes when he hits?
Doesn't Gotrek limit how many wounds you can do per attack, though?
You know what? I'm gonna have to get his rules out.
You are, because you're feverishly painting him, so you can thrust him into battle and destroy all my actively painted armies, aren't you? You should know the rules.
Gotrek Gurnason, he's got 8 wounds as well. So basically, a living god who's had countless books written and actually earned the title of a god after all his, hard-fought battles, versus some guy that's just appeared out of nowhere. Gotrek's got a 4-up save and 8 wounds. Gotrek's got 6 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound. So he's got more attacks, but you've got a 2+ to wound, haven't you?
Yes, but wait till you get to the special rules, though.
Okay, Gottfried's got a rend of -2. Whereas
that's the same.
Okay, and he's got 3 damage.
So slightly less damage per attack.
But I can reroll hit and wounds. I can reroll hits and wounds. And if I roll a 6, that attack inflicts D6 mortal wounds.
Exactly. Now you get into the juice.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. Yeah, I get a 3-up mortal wound save and a natural 4-up save. So against you, I'd be getting a 6-up save, and then I'm getting a 3-up mortal wound save. If at the end of the combat phase, if Gotrek is within 3 inch of an enemy unit, he can fight again. Let's get it on.
If somehow you survive his first round, he just gets to go again.
Yeah.
So people have talked about Gotrek in terms of one-shotting Mega Gargants. It's something he can do.
Let's one-shot this guy instead. It'd be even more fun.
Certainly could. Anyone could take him out in a phase. 1-on-1, he wouldn't want to take you on because he's probably not going to kill you, therefore he's not going to get his wounds back.
Could you kill me if you attacked first? Could you kill me before I even get a swing? With 8 wounds, it's possible. If you get 2 wounds on me.
Does Gotrek reduce the number of incoming wounds down to 1 or something? You got a rule for that? Or am I thinking something else?
Oh, if the damage inflicted by an attack, spell, or ability that targets or affects this model is greater than 1, change it to 1.
There you go. So definitely not killing him in one round.
Oh, I love that. That's poetry.
So yeah, I'd be a fool to send this guy after Gotrek, really, wouldn't I?
I mean, we should try it, like Gotrek against all your Stormcast heroes at once.
It would probably be a good fight, actually.
That would be good. You put up this guy, you put up Yandrastra. Anyone else that you like?
Maybe
The Star Dragon.
Bandus Hammerhand, somebody like that. If we're only going for named characters, that would be quite funny. He just has to take on all of them. I think I've only got 3.
It would be quite nice. It might be a nice like experiment for 20 minutes, wouldn't it? Just seeing, put them already in combat. And let's see. It's sort of like a gladiator. How many can he take on?
So you're not feeling quite so bad, and you're probably going to be painting Gotrek a bit faster than you were.
Yeah, bloody well am as well. Yeah, yeah. Well, I've nearly finished painting all my cruel boys, Andy. So I think the last count, if I just open up Stormforge, to the app that you get for free. I think you can download it for free at the minute. They're doing some kind of special beta offer. If you don't have it, it's worth having because it's free. But you also get it free with Warhammer Plus. Yeah, you see, now here's the problem with the Crawl Boys, Andy, and making an army from them. I have. Well, I'm ordering the Beast Skewer Killbow because I've got my £10 voucher, which I have to spend by the end of the month.
Oh yeah, I haven't decided what to spend mine on yet.
Yeah, so I've decided to buy this Beast Skewer Killbow. Basically, get it for half price, right? So assuming that's in the army, I've got 1,490 points worth of Cruel Boys. But the problem is that the only battle line option they have are Gut Rippers. So it's basically like the Orc Boys, and they've either got spears and shields or like axes and shields. But yeah, so they're the only battle line unit, and for 2,000 points, you need 3 units. But in the starter box set, you only get 1 unit.
Do any of your heroes unlock any of the units as battle line packs?
I'll have to check that. Because the only other sort of infantry unit option are the Hobgrot Slitters, and they're not battle line. It seems like, it seems like.
Well, if you work out how many points you've got in your Cruel Boys, and we can just have a game at that point level and just ignore battle line, I think, based on what they give you in the box. For now.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a bit annoying though, isn't it? What I mean, yeah. So I would need 2 more boxes of Gut Rippers. So that's another £60. Right then, I got to paint them all. But yeah, if I did that, then I would have almost 2,000 points.
Zato says Gotrek is insanely hard to take down, and 3 at ward as well. And Zato also says there's a clan, whatever it's called, that makes the Manskewer Bolt Boys into battle line as well.
The Manskewer Bolt Boys. So I think I've got 3 of those.
Yeah, so if you take that particular, what do they call them? Is it clan? What's the little sub factions with?
Yeah, the big yellows. They got the yellow shields. Except the thing is, William, I've just painted them all red. But
I
anyway.
don't think that.
Yeah, it's big yellows. They're good at shooting, aren't they? Or are they good at saving from shooting? Can't remember. But that would mean I'd have to get some more Skewer Boys. Or I'd buy another starter box. In fact, it'd be cheaper to buy another starter box set for around 40 quid. Get 10 more Gut Rippers and some Manskewer Bolt Boys. And then sell off the heroes that I've already got.
I can feel a sneeze coming.
Oh. Going to do it, Andy? Well done.
Okay, and the audience didn't even have to hear it. Remington did, though. I couldn't mute Discord fast. So, definitely jig with your list a bit and make some of the units battle line. Armies typically have those options available to them now. That's something to look into over the next week or so.
Yeah.
So, Warhammer community, they've got a little article on how to make the perfect gaming weekend. So, I suppose we know how silly this probably is. So, let's have a look. First of all, very naturally posed people around the gaming table there.
That's a dense gaming table, isn't it? You can't really move a lot on that.
Are those all tanks? That is a lot of stuff. That is not a game they're playing there. That's just a ridiculous display.
No.
And he's pretending to throw dice. Come on now. What's he measuring to?
Where are you going to throw the dice without hitting your models? And then your models on the left, they're Tyranids. They can't even go anywhere.
Yes, very impractical setup there. So, plan for success. What do they think? This era of uncertainty, trying to put together a fantastic gaming event with your friends can be a bit of work. Luckily, some hobbyists really enjoy planning and logistics. We use a voting system in our WhatsApp group to decide who's available on which weekend. Sounds a bit...
Okay.
but maybe...
Well, I mean, I guess with RemCon and Andy Palooza, we just sort of rely on people to turn up just because of the name, don't we, right?
Give yourself time for breaks, which I usually take like an hour-long break during Rem's hero phase, to be fair. Great times on and off the battlefield. Gaming events are about having a good time, so it's worth the effort. Put a bit of thought into the venue and the ambiance. Some people want to play competitively, but most want to push cool models at each other and have a few drinks. Is that right? Don't game on an empty stomach, with a picture of a pizza. What are your thoughts on mid-game snacks?
Yeah, pizza sounds good.
I can tell you from experience of tournaments, sometimes it's a really long event and I haven't had a particularly large lunch, then there's a temptation to just think, well, I feel fine now. Just going to keep playing, not bother with snacks or drinks, just keep plowing through. And then right at the end of the last game, it hits you like a wave.
Do you just sort of want to get it over with? Do you find yourself making mistakes?
With me, it usually comes in after the tournament's finished, which is lucky.
Right.
But often, actually, what sets it off with me is like travel sickness. So if I'm in a car after a tournament where I've not had enough to eat or drink, then that can be an unpleasant experience.
Brad says it's funny they used Realm of Battle boards when they have resized boards to be smaller for both their main games. True.
That is true. And look at what a wonderful time all these people are having.
Everyone
sure
looks really slim and clean, don't they?
I'm sure they didn't at all pose these people and then tell them to look as if they were having a good time. That definitely didn't happen, did it?
Yeah, no, it definitely did. I like it how they're putting sort of more females in the shots, aren't they, to make it look like it's like a really mixed hobby, even though it's like really male dominated.
I suppose it is good, really, though, because
Yeah, man, it's
if there are women folk out there who see the pictures and think, "Hey, wait a minute, what this was all just
absolutely.
big, sweaty, bearded nerds."
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Will Matthews said he's using his orc big uns as gut rippers, and he's done his shields red as well. That's comforting to know. Of course, I could always get some mercenaries, couldn't I, or some alliances going.
Cedar says, "Is that Phil Kelly? Which one?
One with the red shirt?
Him.
Hmm.
I can't remember what his face looks like. Who knows? Next. So, think Auric armies can't shoot? These man-skewer bolt boys will make you think again. So, here you go. Let's have a look. So, do you get some of these in starter? Have you got some?
Got 3. Yeah, but these are the this is a new set they're bringing out with different poses, right? So this might be the thing to get, I guess.
B. Increased maximum range of 27 inches when making aimed shots with your big yellers bolt boys. 27 inches is pretty significant this
A
game,
lot. Yeah.
especially on the slightly smaller tables now. Then you can be pretty much on the edge almost. And so, I assume you've had a look at the rules yourself, but of
Yes,
course they have.
I've had a cursory glance, Andy.
Yes, they have hasty shot with a smaller range, pretty standard.
Yeah.
And if it didn't move, then you can do an aimed shot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is what you want to do, really. That
see,
much more. Who to hit? That's amazing. Who would have thought an orc would be, that good a shot? I mean, they've got better chance to hit than like most elves.
2
Crazy.
damage each, so they describe that as being perfect for killing certain Stormcast units. Venom encrusted weapons. The unmodified hit roll for an attack made by a Cruel Boy's Auric model is 6. That attack causes a number of mortal wounds to the target equal to the weapon's damage characteristic and the attack sequence. So, every time you hit with a 6, you're just doing a couple of mortal wounds, probably. Not bad against Stormcast as well.
Yeah,
that's what you
amazing.
want.
Yeah.
And there are to make these vile concoctions even more noxious. There's the Swamp Caller Shaman, who, when not muttering hexes at the enemy, is brewing up nasty elixirs. Make those mortal wounds happen on a 5+.
Amazing.
So that sounds like a winning combo for you against the heavily armoured Stormcast that some people out there might occasionally bring to the table.
I didn't realise until you saw that. I saw the close-up of the shaman's bowl. It looks like it's got coffee beans in there.
Maybe that's just his morning coffee and it's totally unrelated to his potion brewing.
I don't think he's satisfied with it and he's just pouring it away angrily.
Or maybe that was the bit left in the bottom of the coffee and it's gone cold now, so that's...
Yeah, I didn't paint my little coffee beans. I didn't notice them when I painted it. Yeah, learn something every day. So
Add 1. Oh, how about this? Add 1 to the number of mortal wounds caused by the venom-encrusted weapons battle trait if the unmodified hit roll was 6. The attacking unit is wholly within 12 inches of any friendly units with ability. If you stick those units with the venom-encrusted weapons close to the sludge raker beam,
yeah, which I have just painting at the moment,
then they do even more damage.
Oosh. That's very satisfying.
So very sneaky, very combo-tastic.
There's so many rules to learn, isn't there? It's like learning the rules, but then learning these like extra bonuses that every kind of model gets in some way or another.
Yeah, the basic game rules, fairly simple, and then the faction rules, like triple the amount you need to learn, especially for Daughters of Cain.
Crazy.
And some more info on some of these other units. Have you got one of these big ones?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of ordering, actually. One of these ones. Just, it'd be fun to take down your monsters or your heroes.
Yeah, I'm sure it would.
Imagine Yendrastra getting skewered by one of these. It'd be quite, it'd be more than satisfying.
I'm sure it would be, but I doubt that would happen. Never know, though. So, it's just some general info on all the shooting abilities that the Cruel Boys have at their disposal here.
Can all these be found in their battle tome? Or are these extra rules?
These are all on your existing war. It's just telling you that orcs aren't all just combat. Got some disposal. And it's giving you some hints as to combos as well that you might not spot the first time you're glancing through the rules. So a few things to keep your eye on there, like keeping them near your Sludge Raker Beast, getting bonuses to their mortal wound output, using the Swamp Caller Shaman on them,
Now, you know those hobgrots with their grenades, Andy?
Yes.
They obviously got they kind of close range missile weapon. You'd think the nature of a grenade, um, being the fact that it's all mostly shrapnel that's going to hurt you, that it would be more than a 4+ to hit. It like it's easier for someone to shoot one of those man skewer crossbows than it is just to lob a grenade at someone.
Yes.
Doesn't seem right.
Well, maybe they're not the most aerodynamic of them. It's not very good at throwing things generally.
I mean, so why bother?
Because no one cares about them, because they're hobgrots, and it doesn't matter if it blows up on
Yeah.
Next, we've got Rumour Engine. This is clearly 40k, so
Yeah.
I don't think we're too interested in this one, are we?
Boring.
Snooze Fest Central. Now, on the GW website at the moment, on the pre-order section, got these various warbands.
Okay.
So have we seen these before?
Yes. I forgot the Grimwatch. You get some vampire bats in those. Now the Beastman ones, I don't remember them being separate, and also the Scythe's Wild Hunt, they've not been available as separates before. Because they were part of the box set, right?
So look at Grashnak's despoilers for you there.
Yeah, these look great, don't they?
So Beastmen still somewhat represented. How do you feel?
I like the Ungors. They have so much character, don't they? You know, they're so terrible, but they're so characterful as well. Yeah, they look wicked, man. Almost makes me want to get back into Beastmen.
Start a new Beasts of Chaos army. Well, I would hold off on that because there are rumours that there could be a battle tome at some
Right.
point. I want to wait, see what that first. Next, so this is in our news section. Bad Squiddo, who of course we feature regularly on the channel, currently have a spooky time sale on. Offer ends 1st of November. Use the code Feeling Spooky at the shopping cart to save 15% on everything in this category and the bargain bin. Everything in the bargain bin and everything on this special spooky page, which includes the likes of Vested Well, Witches, Angry Witches, Saxman, Swamp, Temples, more witches, spooky bits of terrain, livestock remains. I've got some of those, they're very good. Skulls, wings.
You painted a Saxman, didn't you?
I do have a Saxman, yes. Pretty spooky.
I can't believe that Annie's got such a vast range of models, accessories, and whatnot. There's so much, isn't there?
Yeah, this is just the spooky section as well. So
No.
2 full pages, I think. Let's have a look how big this is. I make claims like that.
How long has Bad Squiddo been going for?
As a miniatures company, how long's it been going for now? Probably maybe 7 years, something like that. You have to ask Annie for the exact date that it started.
Wow. Hey, that wolf looks cool.
The wolf. That is a very cool wolf.
Bottom left.
Yes, I actually have I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, the milk hair, which I used as an Easter themed special event model for a Kings of War tournament.
Is that like a Viking word? Milk.
I don't know, but it's some kind of Scandinavian rabbit demon, I think. Other spooky things, more witch-like things, ghouls, scarecrows, any of this stuff, or anything in the bargain bin, 15% off all that stuff. And for anyone who places an order on Bad Squiddo games, typically, if you're a viewer of this channel, you'll be using my code, get the free chicken. If you're using the spooky code instead to get 15% off, then if you just mention in your order notes something about a free chicken, then Annie has guaranteed that you will receive your chicken.
Wow, that's amazing. Um, the scarecrows, Andy. It's just given me a thought. What about an army of scarecrows? That could be fun, couldn't it? Or a scarecrow themed faction.
Well, in Kings of War, there's kind of a scarecrow-based unit. They don't just stick in the ground, though. They can actually walk around.
It could be cool, right? It could be kind of a big magic users, sort of guardians of the fields and agriculture. Can you think of any sort of more units apart from the scarecrows? They could have
So you're,
ravens.
so you're thinking, like, halflings versus their possessed agricultural defense mechanisms.
Yeah, or they could be like reinforcements for halflings. They could be, allies. Or they could, or maybe not. Maybe they're sort of an undead faction. I
See
don't
it?
know. Yeah,
I could see it if the halflings maybe put their farmland on some kind of ancient cursed king's crypt, and those evil spirits start popping up and inhabiting their scarecrows in the fields, and that could be an interesting concept for something. Maybe save it for Witch Coven Season 2.
yeah. I think the biggest sort of downside to it is that scarecrows are just made of straw, so I can't imagine they'd have much of an armor saving throw.
Zato says a witch would use a mjolk hair to steal milk from their neighbours' cows. Very spooky.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like a hideous, like Frankenstein's monster like rabbit golem that steals milk.
What does it do with the milk?
I assume takes it to the witch.
Yeah,
And then the witch has a monopoly on all the milk in the town then. But prices are through the roof.
inflation. Yeah, I don't know. The scarecrow idea is putting me off. I mean, because I think they'd also be very susceptible to fire as well, right?
You would think so, wouldn't you? But what if it's been raining?
The muddy scarecrow fest. And yeah, how are they actually going to harm you? Because they're sort of their claws are made of straw as well. You know,
Well, I think if they're possessed by demonic entities, they would have some kind of powers that could harm you.
right?
I think.
Got you. Okay.
It makes me think of the. Is it Jeepers Creepers 2, where the monster is kind of disguised as a scarecrow?
Yeah.
Sure, it is. Makes me think of that.
First one was pretty scary. I saw that one. What's the scariest film you've ever seen, Andy?
Scariest film I've ever seen? That is a tricky one.
One of them.
I'll give you a random scary film. How about an old black and white, like true, like psychological horror film, Ghostly Antics? I think it's from 1960 or something like that. It's called The Innocent. About these two children who get a new like nanny looking after them in their old massive spooky house. Classic horror.
And
What about you?
She's a bag of laughs, then I suppose, is she?
The children are
For,
very creepy.
for me, The Omen 2. The music in it is just terrifying. Like this choir singing. Just a great film. But I didn't enjoy it. It's just like horrible.
That sounds like
Yeah.
reviews of this show.
I know, and I've got a theory about the show. It seems like any episode that we put out, it gets capped. I think YouTube has been capping our videos that only a sort of 200 people can watch it, 200 views. So I think we've got some kind of I don't know, maybe it's like super exclusive. that only 200 people can watch the
Well, we'll
show?
find out because we're spreading the Andy and Rem Show love around the internet, obviously, with guests. And I've lined up another guest for next week as well. I think I told you about before the show. Next week, we're going to be joined by, if anyone out there is familiar with the YouTube channel, the Ethercast, which is a Caradron Overlords YouTube channel. Just nothing but Caradron action on there. Then we're going to be joined by Lee, the host of that channel. So,
I'm going to give him a little quiz, Andy. I was thinking about it when you told me that you had him on. It was like, I'm going to call the section, "How do you fancy your chances?" And what we'll do, we'll pit his it's all in theory, but we'll pit his Caradron Overlords. Does he think he can beat a Savage Orc army? Can he beat a Nighthawk army? Do you know what I mean? And we'll just, it's very generalized, but which factions do you think he'd struggle against? Which ones do you think he'd be a right push? There'd be a right pushover.
and
Because comes to Savage Orcs, you can't imagine, these like naked orcs, like with mangoes and spears, taking down a skyship with guns on it.
probably not. That is a fair assessment. But you know what's funny as well? When I messaged him to ask if he wanted to be on the show, I found, wait a minute, I've already got some messages between me and this guy. What's going on? And scrolled up, and it went back a few years. And it turns out that when I sold some of my original Caradron Overlords, he bought some of them.
But the ones that you sold at inflated prices.
Not those ones.
Okay.
He bought the ones that were fairly priced. It was some eBay buyer in Poland that bought the inflated ones that were then illegal a week later. So I'm sure he's probably still kicking himself. Can't remember what his name
Well,
was.
that'd be quite interesting, actually. Expanding our footprint in this universe for sure.
Yes, we're going to start reaching out, growing our web of influence around the community, because we haven't exactly retreated, but the community has grown beyond the humble beginnings that we gave it from day one. So I think it's time to reach out our tendrils and bring effectively our children back to the nest.
Absolutely, Andy. And we do have this sort of cap on our show that I believe Google and YouTube are putting on it because the content is that good and exclusive. That if you get to even see the show week to week, you're obviously very, very lucky and you're very special. That's my theory anyway. I mean, other videos, they get tens of thousands of views. So we've been chosen. We're one of the chosen few channels that can only allowed to get a couple hundred views. That's what I think, because we used to get thousands, but there you are.
Now, we've got some scary film suggestions here. Zato says Ginger Dead Man. That is one of my favourites. Have you ever seen Ginger Dead Man?
Mm-hmm.
About a killer gingerbread man that's possessed by the spirit of a serial killer.
Oh, actually, that rings a bell.
Voiced by Gary Busey.
Right. Okay. How do they defeat the gingerbread man in the end? Do they?
You know, I can't even remember how they defeat it in the first one. I think in the second one he gets eaten, but I don't remember what happens in the first. There's Ginger Dead Man, the original. Then there's Ginger Dead Man 2, The Passion of the Crust, and Ginger Dead Man 3, Saturday Night Cleaver. But that one's really awful. If you have a tolerance for really horrific films, you should watch the third one. But it is one of the worst things I've seen. Really awful.
Zato confirms that they defeat the gingerbread man by eating him. I'd like to see the look on his face as he's being eaten as well. It could be interesting.
And Ground Ginger suggests the Velocipasta. Have you seen that?
No.
It's about a priest who becomes cursed with the ability to transform into a dinosaur to fight crime.
Did you ever see Abraham Lincoln, the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter?
No, but I've got it on my shelf right over there.
It's actually really good.
I haven't watched it yet, but I've got it on DVD.
It's surprisingly good, Andy. Yeah.
I am going to get round to it.
It's good.
So, speaking of things that are good,
Yeah, some good news coming. So we didn't mention this last week, but the week before, you and I had noticed a terrifying drop in the Games Workshop share price, and we're looking at the 3-month chart here, and you can see the dotted line, maybe a bit faintly. That's when old man Remington here, you know, got a bit over enthusiastic, sold a bunch of shares in other stuff, and said, "You know what? I'm talking about it enough. Let's go in on Games Workshop." So I bought 15 shares over the course of a week, um, thinking that, look, it's going down. Let me buy a few. So when it goes back up again, I could maybe get into some profit. And this was all around the time of Warhammer Plus being released. But unfortunately, um, the investing world saw things a bit differently, and there was a big sell-off. The Games Workshop dropped by a good 20% or so, and I think, like I mentioned before, this could have been due to supply problems, and they were not so sure on the following quarter's results because of these problems. Um, but the thing is, I didn't have any money available to buy into the dip anymore, and I was worried that I would catch a falling knife, as they say in investor terms. So I've just hung on, and what you can see here is, there's been a somewhat of a recovery over the last week, and you can see maybe it's found a bottom there at around £96 per share, and is steadily climbing up. So I sent you another picture, Andy. I think we can see something a bit more
yes, this is a very
clearer.
turbulent image here.
Yeah, so that one you're seeing there is past 3 months. Have you got another chart?
I believe you sent me one more. There we go.
Right. So this is the all-time chart. So you can see that something like 2014, they were like £10 a share or something. So when Age of Sigmar first came out, Andy, if we'd have just put a couple £100 in, we would have 20x our money or 10x our money in that time. But yeah, you can see overall that the general direction is up and to the right. You could see a huge sort of stab wound there in the middle. That was the COVID crash. And the stay-at-home stock, as they called it, meant that it went up and soared its profitability and whatnot. It hit a peak, and I don't know. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, you live in Nottingham. You're sort of clued up.
Well,
Do you think
obviously, from any
it's gonna
time I walk past GW, I've got my ear up if I can hear any financial gossip echoing through the halls, maybe out the window, someone standing a bit too close to the window. And from what I gather, I predict that it is actually going to get back to somewhere around that point again, somewhere around that all-time high. You are going to be able to play the all-time high song again, I think. And
its all-time high has been something like £118, I want to say.
I think your dotted line is looking a pretty safe bet that it'll get there again. So if you decide to panic and bail out, you'd get your money back.
Yeah. Or do I try and save up and buy some more and reduce my average price? So when it does go back to somewhere near the all-time highs, I'll be in profit. Or do I just hang on long term? I mean, it seems like if you look at the share price over the history of it,
Well, we could be heading into some more turbulence because it remains to be seen how this country is going to handle winter this year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could accurately predict how that's going to go, maybe you could get ahead of the curve on various fronts.
Well, I hear experts in inverted commas talking about a slowdown in growth next year for all industries. Um, so I don't know, but what I do know is that they're really successful and they've got no debt and they've got loads of money. So, and people love their product, right? And so I don't know. I think it's fairly safe, and they pay dividends as well. So even though I might be down on face value, I will be receiving every 3 months a little bit of a boost in dividends. So let's see. Do you know what? I never thought I'd be talking about this stuff before.
And
Or I did.
as we end this topic, I think that definitely qualifies as a segment of
Remington's Millions.
Remington's Millions. So, what else have we got to look at this week? Well, I've been painting some more building.
Oh, wow.
My wintry farm buildings, these are a couple of outbuildings. You saw the big farm and the barn, farmhouse and the barn that I did last time. These are much smaller, these just little outbuildings, still by Renedra. I bought these from Bad Squiddo as well. And these are very easy, very quick to assemble and paint. Only quite small. And quite happy with how they've come out, with snow coverage there. A couple of coats of snow powder on them. Very nice. So I've got some nice wintry themed terrain now.
Can these be debuted in our next game?
We could have a wintry terrain game. Sure.
Or maybe if you buy one of those Stormcast dragons, maybe they could be standing aloft one of these.
Perhaps. But as you know, my Caradron Overlords have had a bit of a snowy base overhaul. So when more of them are finished, and I'm currently working on them, see, there's some definitely more coloration going on here. Sails and the various bits and pieces are getting coloured in slowly. And you look at some of the guys.
That's interesting you're doing it in silver, because most of them I see seem to be more gold coloured.
Well, my colour scheme is, of course, silver, but with a blue glaze. I think it's a glaze over it. So it's metallic blue, and then other parts are silver, bits of gold. I've only got gold on the unit champions characters. So that's what differentiates them.
How many points have you got?
I do not have any idea. So I've also bought the big ironclad ship, but I'm not even going to start assembling it until I finish painting all these in front of me here.
You got the Big Daddy? When did you get that under? You kept that quiet.
That just arrived the other day, but I'm keeping it in the cupboard in its box. It's not allowed to be unwrapped until I finish painting the gun hauler, thunderers, these guys, Endrin riggers, and I've got a couple of heroes on there as well. So all that has to be done before I can assemble the ironclad. That's the rule.
You get loads of extra bits and bobs with that.
You do get quite a lot of extra bits on it.
Okay.
But most of them can be used because there's 4 or 5 people just standing around on the deck that you could obviously mess about with and use for conversions and whatnot if you don't want that many people on the deck.
Right, yeah.
So one more picture of a snowy building there.
That's quite exciting.
It's going to be exciting, and that's what drew my attention to the Caradron Overlords based YouTube channel, because I've been listening to all their tournament list analysis videos, finding out what's good at the moment.
Oh no. So you're going to get some tactical...
Well, really though, it's not that complicated, because there's only like 8 units in the whole army anyway, if you don't include heroes. So there aren't a lot of choices, really. They have quite a lot of heroes, though. Not as many as Stormcast, who probably have about 40.
Yeah. And they've got amazing shooting, right?
Yes, they have very good shooting, not so great at close combat. They're very good mobility, obviously, because they just fly around in the ships.
Yeah.
And if you...
one wound, generally?
The Arcanauts have only got 1 wound. A lot of the others have got more.
Right. Saving throws?
Pretty decent saving throws if you're looking at like the ships, but your average not great. Compared to Stormcast, everything seems terrible though. I'm looking at stats. We've got a Stormcast model here actually. This is painted by Cedar, and this was posted on the Andy and Rim Show Discord server, which everyone should be joining if you're not there already. And
yeah, man, this is wicked. Love the paint color choices there.
of course, the Knight Incantor, who is still a very solid choice in the Stormcast Eternals, as far as I'm aware.
I don't think
And in my opinion,
I've never slain a Knight Incantor. They always seem to survive.
I always find it a really useful unit just for the once per game auto dispel something ability.
Yeah. I like the basing too.
Very colourful basing. Very colourful army in general, this one, that we've been seeing develop over the last months.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So, very good work there.
Hey, so speaking of really cool, did you guys get to watch last week's show? Because we did have our guest from Blue Table Painting there, Sean, and I thought it was a really great show. Really loved the energy and the things he was saying and the honesty. Did you get much feedback from that, Andy?
Well, we've got a pretty decent viewership on that episode. It's pretty strong compared to some of the other recent ones. So.
Get capped at 200? Let's have a look.
No, it's gone beyond 200, but we are working on getting more frequent guests as well on the show, because obviously during these slightly slow news weeks, it helps to have someone else on, so we've got more stuff to talk about. But there is one thing that is always available to us. That is the following segment. So, is everyone ready for some What the Hell Is That action? After the What the Hell Is That video plays, then you better be ready to type in what the hell it is. So.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it a chaos dwarf or a vampire bear? What the hell is that? 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 Only Andy and Remington, Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it Sigmar's beard or Neferata's hat? What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it a mangler squig or a sorcerer's rat? Only Andy and Remington! Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know.
Okay, here we go. So, you're about to see an image that's incredibly zoomed in. It's slowly going to pull out, and you're going to be typing in the comments the name of the model. If you leave it too long, obviously the whole thing's going to be revealed, and it's just going to be a keyboard fest to see who can type in the name of it fastest. So you've got to recognise it from the really zoomed in detail to have any chance of winning, I think. So,
okay.
Here we go.
Right.
This is this week's What the Hell Is That? You may start your guesses whenever you're ready.
Oh, it looks a bit fleshy. Or is it? No. Oh, it's zooming out. Oh, this.
Somebody's got to be ready to get this.
I'm thinking Nighthaunt. Oh, it looks a bit undead fleshy. I think I know what it is.
Somebody's going to get it soon, otherwise it'll be too late and everyone will be on it.
Zeto says Terrorgeist.
Well, there you go.
Well done, Zeto.
That, as it slowly pulls out, you can see that it is in fact a Terrorgeist. With a Ghoul King sitting atop it. No less.
I saw this model around your house, and it's actually really big, isn't it? Got a very big footprint.
Yes, Annie's got one of these. Very impressive hit. I never added one to my Vampire Counts army that I was dabbling with back in 8th edition. I did get the Mortis engine though.
Well, I've actually got almost half a Soulblight Gravelord's army with the Cursed City box set, you know. I need to finish painting those models, you know.
Same could be said for a lot of people's.
Yeah.
What are you working on at the moment?
Well, I haven't painted since last week. I've wanted to, just haven't found the time. So I want to finish my Sludge Raker beast and the Beast Catcher character from the Crawl Boys. Once he's done, I think I've got a pot grot to paint, and just to finish up some of the the Battle Line Crawl Boys guys. I've got 5 more to finish off because I've base coated them all. So and then I've painted the starter set. I've got my big Trogoth painted with the Orc on top, which was really good fun to paint. I think I painted that guy really well, and that was verified by Sean from Blue Tail Painting, who said, as a little bit of a spoiler, if you hadn't seen last week's episode, which is a must see, he told me that he would gladly have me on board as the freelance painter at Blue Table Painting, painting the sort of higher end models.
That is
I was really
praise.
That was really high praise, man. So very, very glad about that. That's someone with over sort of 20 years experience, 25 years experience in the industry of selling painted armies. So yeah, very flattering. But yeah, I've not had the time to paint anymore, but that's what I'll be finishing off, I think. And then after that, I want to paint Gotrek. Then after that, I probably should finish the Cursed City box set. I've got all the characters, the goodies to paint.
So here's my painting plan at the moment. Well, at the moment I've been working on Gryph-hound statues, which nowhere near finished yet. Two of those to do. All these Caradron overlords that are still in front of me. Got various Thunderers part way done. Getting my way through those slowly but surely, just trying to add a little bit every day. So eventually they'll reach a point where all the base coat's down and you think, yes, and then you just like plow through the next stage because the motivation really hits you. So at the moment, not entirely sure what colour every single bit is going to be. Adding a little bit each day, seeing how it looks and going from there. Then I've got a couple of these World War II Soviet tanks with Bad Squiddo tank commanders poking out the top. Then it's probably going to be, what shall it be after that? Maybe I might treat myself to the Caradron Overlord's Ironclad after that. Big mega ship that would really make it a usable army at that point. I could play games with it before then, but it wouldn't really be an Overlord's army. Only one ship, would it?
So Andy, is it time to get a thingy, cabinet?
Display cabinet.
Yeah.
For me, probably not. Right now. I don't have space. It's a very cramped environment here, and I've got a vast amount of armies, shall we say, various different game systems.
Got yeah.
Lots of Kings of War armies. They're the ones that get the most.
Right. Okay, well, we've got some fun things coming up then. We've got some guests coming up, and of course more Warhammer reveals. And maybe I will have watched or caught up with all my missed episodes of on Warhammer Plus, so I'll be able to talk a bit more about that.
I think I need to catch up on the newest episode of Hammer and Bolter. And we're still looking forward to the second part, The Angels of Death.
So that's not out yet. I'm going to watch the rest of the battle report. And, the other thing is, I don't know about you, Andy, but I've not deep dived into all the back catalogue that you can see of the White Dwarves.
I haven't yet. They haven't gone far enough back to interest me yet. It's only the last couple of years.
Maybe they haven't been digitized. If you're thinking of really old school ones.
Oh, I'm sure that they're going to do all the editions that are just easy. They can just click a button and they're just uploaded. That'll cover the last few years. Pre that, obviously when you get back to like the 90s, sure, they should have begun the process of scanning in all their old issues. If presumably they've got copies of them all sitting around in a big warehouse somewhere, Bastian can hope.
So are you thinking that of down the road, like the whole, library of White Dwarfs will be up there to see?
That would be wishful thinking, but I would like to think they could make it happen. I don't expect it to be in full, like, searchable PDF form. If they
what
just
would you
took
like to
high
see
quality
added?
pictures of all the pages,
Yeah, I think we want to see the pictures, don't we? That's what we like. What would you like to what would you like to see being added to Warhammer Plus down the line? I mean, we've got good battle reports. Do you want more battle reports more often?
I don't think necessarily they need more battle reports, because that's something that we do have access to out there, YouTube, without war.
Yeah.
So things that only they would be able to give us. So we're looking at more behind the scenes type stuff, more high quality kind of content that's beyond what amateurs out there on YouTube could. GW, this massive business empire with a big budget, things. They should be able to give us the highest quality content. So,
What
I think
about
we
stuff?
complained a little bit
Yeah.
about the production values of Lore Masters. We said it should have been a bit more over the top, polished and elaborate.
Yeah, I mean the graphics are great. You know, the recording's great. The narrator's actually, I think, is really good. But I just think they could make it a little bit more like the way he's presented. It could sort of get him into some sort of a character, storytelling character. That could be fun. Um, I think they could add some audio books in there, right? Maybe they could give us, you know, the Brian Blessed and Gotrek and Felix stories.
Yes, that would be a
Um,
good piece of content, because at the moment, the stuff they're putting out isn't blowing everything else out the water. There is good
yeah,
stuff out there on YouTube for free that is very strong competition for virtually every piece of content they've got right now.
yeah. I mean, Andy, if you take, you know, back in the day, you had like BitTorrent and uTorrent and Napster, you know, and they're basically pirating people's music and people were downloading it for free. If you think that, you know, that YouTube has always been sort of, you know, from the point of view of Games Workshop, it's always been plagiarized with audiobooks by Games Workshop that have been uploaded on YouTube. I know this because I used to listen to them, and they'd often get taken
Criminal.
down with, yeah, they get taken down within hours or days. But you can eliminate that aspect of pirating and copyright, right? By doing it yourself. You know, putting them, put adding them, especially some of the older ones or rarer ones. Maybe they could put them in the Warhammer Plus, right? So I'm driving my car and I can go onto Warhammer Plus app and listen to an audiobook.
Yes.
Maybe give us one a month or something, you know. And here's the other thing. Do you think once they're on Warhammer Plus, do they stay on there? Or do you think they rotate in and out?
Well, that's the question. If they're doing audiobooks, then obviously they're a big money spinner for GW, I imagine. So maybe not having the entire back catalogue of audiobooks on a subscription service, that would actually cut down some of their. But if like you say, they were cycling in audiobooks, that would be something that would interest me, and it would encourage you to stay subscribed then, because you can't just binge all of it in 1 month and
No.
subscribe.
Exactly. So, and also the idea is that you're staying in their ecosystem, right? You're not necessarily going to YouTube or other websites or whatnot. You're staying in their ecosystem, and something like an audiobook, you literally are spending hours in that ecosystem, aren't you? And so I'm sure, you know, they don't have to give us the whole Black Library, but, you know, maybe one audiobook a month. And what will happen is you're going to get more engagement and more curiosity in the other audiobooks. And then you might go to the Black Library or Audible and download them because it's got you into it, right? So it could be one part of a Horus Heresy and, you know, it gets you hooked and then you want to get into the other. So, you know, that's I think that's a very real $1 million idea there.
Something that would interest me, because I'm always looking for more listenable content for while I'm painting.
Mhm.
Obviously, I don't want to have to be staring at the screen the whole time if I'm painting. So, like, the animations they've got are fine, 20 minutes long. Eating a meal, fine, I'll stick on one of these 20-minute animations. It's a good length
Yeah.
for that sort of thing.
Lore Masters, you might be cooking a meal, right?
You don't need to be staring at that the whole time, so that's a decent one. But audiobooks, there's a gap there.
It's a no-brainer,
audiobooks would
Andy.
fill it. Definitely.
No-brainer, and they've already recorded it, and so they've got the rights to it. So I don't see why they shouldn't add those. A no-brainer.
No reason at all. With that, I think it's about time to wrap up this episode, folks. So, any final words for this eve, Mr. Remington?
Stay safe, everybody. You know, where I work, there seems to be a lot of people going down with various colds and even COVID cases, and you know, so yeah, stay safe, and yeah, God bless. See you next week.
Everyone should stay safe because, of course, as the temperatures get colder, more people will be piling into indoor spaces rather than outdoor. So more germs in close proximity. So take precautions in there. Stay safe. Don't get COVID. That would be bad. Zato has been painting harlequins and winter-themed terrain, obviously stealing my idea of terrain there. So let me just go through quickly and personally thank the various patrons who you've seen scrolling across the screen as well, but I'm going to give them personal voice shout-outs as well. So let's have a look, shall we? I just have to log back in to the... Okay, special thanks to the following: Graham, Guy, G, Brad, Tim, Raccoon, John, Cedar, Nippleless, Simon, Kevin, David. Special thanks to all of you. You're keeping the lights on this lifeboat/lighthouse. It's not only guiding the boats full of wargaming misery victims towards the calm waters of hobby enlightenment, but also heading out there to see all the stranded wargamers looking for precious quality content in these dark, turbulent times, in these stormy waters. We're out there throwing out the life ring of juicy chat and bringing you back the shore gaming goodness. Yes. All that stuff I just said.
You got there in the end, didn't you?
Yes.
Just about.
So if you want to keep that, it's a public service really, isn't it? If you want to keep that going, then head over to Patreon, pledge to this channel. Not only will this show keep going, also support all the various battle reports and game system content flows out of this channel like a fountain, spurting non-stop wargaming juice in your direction. With that, all that remains to be said, well, first of all, what you seek is seeking you, apparently, and good night out there, whatever you are.
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer fans.